Okay, here we go. Derbyites. After 18 months in the wilderness, Survivor is back. And I'm here, Matt Noble, with Kevin Jacobson and Marcus Dixon to break down the 2-hour double tribal premiere episode. There'll be spoilers, so if you haven't seen it yet, don't watch this. Let's kick things off. Marcus, just what was the biggest thing you were most excited to see with Survivor back?
The biggest thing I was excited to see was the new cast. The last time we saw Survivor, it was, winners, former winners that we knew and loved. And I think everyone was ready to see some new people come in. And I liked the diversity, tons of diversity. And I don't know if I like the 3 tribes. I think the show is better when there's 2 tribes, but that's something, for another discussion. But yeah, I love the cast. There's some people online that are saying they don't like them. I'm like, give them a chance. It's only been 1 episode. So far, I'm loving what I'm seeing.
So far, I think it's a fun cast. Like, I don't have an issue with the cast. Kevin, what do you think?
Yeah, I really like this cast too. And it didn't even really go mentioned on the show, but this is the first cast that is 50% BIPOC, which is Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So you really are seeing people from all stars and stripes, as they say, and really telling their stories in interesting ways that we haven't seen before on the show. So yeah, really like this cast. And I was personally excited and maybe hesitant to see how this season was branded as like a new era for the show. Winners at War being such a definitive like closing chapter for season 40 there. This is Survivor entering its 3rd decade, and what does the show look like now? And I think for the most part, they've made some very interesting little shifts in playing the game. Obviously, they reduced the number of days to 26. So the pace will be much faster. And I think for the most part, all the twists do integrate the social and the strategic in a way that doesn't distract too much from the overall gameplay, which I personally am always an advocate for. I don't like the things that are just sort of forced on people, or having like a redemption island or island of extinction or things like that. I prefer it to be in the game. When you're out, you're out. And I think this is going to be a really competitive cast from what we've seen from the premiere.
I was worried that they were keeping secret the fact that there was an Extinction Island this year. And I'm glad there is none. Like, when you're out, you're out.
I think it's interesting, Mark, to say you don't like the 3 tribes sort of format. The first time we ever saw that was All Stars, like the very first All Stars season that they did. And I sort of feel like with 3 tribes, it's not as good at the beginning of the season because it can be a lot harder for people who aren't as physically strong to survive those first votes, just because there's sort of only 6 people. And it also means that like it can be quite hard to get numbers on your side. All you need is 3 votes, and all of a sudden it's very hard to overcome. So I think it's not as good. But I think when you get to merge 3 tribes can be quite interesting, because you don't have one big sort of tribe that has all the numbers. So, but we'll see how swaps and stuff play.
Usually when there's 3 tribes, around episode 4 or 5, they do like a swap, and they combine into 2. I think they did that in All Stars too, and Amber was the only one that didn't get to stick with her people. So I fully expect that to happen in a few episodes.
Yeah, so I don't know. Do we want to talk about the people who got voted, like how the sort of the tribal dynamics work first, or do we want to go to some of the twists that they've introduced? What do you think's like more interesting to start with, guys?
Guys, you said guys.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh no. Well, okay, let's make a decision. Do we think that that's an appropriate thing for me to use moving forward?
I mean, I think in this specific case that guys is appropriate.
Well, yeah, we are. Well, actually, yeah, we are 3 guys. So how about I'll use it if we've just got guys here, but if we have girls come into the panel, we'll change that term. Okay, does that sort of sound right?
There are a lot of people online that are upset that Jeff decided to get rid of that phrase. Some people are saying they're no longer going to watch Survivor, which I think is absolutely insane. But hey, Everyone is entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah, their loss. I would say they're not going to watch Survivor anymore over something like that. Like I am not always the most sensitive or aware with the words I use and things like that, but I think that it's fine to drop it especially if people are going to feel more comfortable that are in the game. Like,
right.
Yeah.
And more,
there's bigger things to take issue with, I would say.
Yes.
If you really want to just rage quit the show, I don't see why this is just the tipping point for you, but go off.
I was more frustrated that Jeff didn't open the season by saying, like, 26 days, 18 people, 1 survivor. Like,
and then the pull out, like the
yeah.
Yeah, where was that?
He just said it's good to be back.
And he was that a hidden immunity idol he put in the bag? Because I think later it came around and Tiffany was looking right in that area and they kind of reminded us, oh yeah, that's something Jeff put something in that.
It was a beware advantage, advantage. So I think we'll see how it plays out, but I think, and he said there's one in each camp, and I think when you find the beware advantage, we'll say beware advantage, and then you can choose to like keep it and use it or just leave it there, because I guess if you open it up, there's some cost to having it or something. Ooh. So it's like an advantage, but like, so I think that's sort of a cool thing to have, like something that when you find it, it tells you, hey, like, here's an advantage in the game, but it will come at a cost. Take it your own risk. I really like that, and like that this season they're adding this idea of danger. There are things that, like, you know, could save you, but could also cost you, like the shot in the dark, where, you know, you roll the dice, you could be safe tonight, or it could cost you that vote, which could make all the difference. Like, so yeah, I really like that sort of idea of having to make choices where there's an advantage, but there's also a cost.
For me, the shot in the dark is still something I'm not fully on board. I think I want to see it take place. I want to see how it plays out before I make my decision on it. You know, initially, I don't like the idea that everyone essentially is given a hidden immunity idol at the start of the show, and it's just a 1 in 6 chance whether yours works or not, whether yours is real or not, basically. But then again, like when you see 2 people voted out, Abraham and Sarah, you're kind of like, why didn't you at least play it? Why didn't you risk it?
Yeah. What do you think, Kevin? Do you like the shot in the dark where everyone has a dice, which when you go to vote, you can roll it and forfeit your vote in the hopes of, if you roll that one face of the dice, you can't be voted out that week? What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah, it's interesting. Again, we sort of have to see it play out before I can really, I don't want to be too results oriented, but that's sort of like what the effectiveness of a twist is, really seeing it play out. I'm glad there's an element of risk to it where you do lose your vote if you use it. And even then, you don't even have a high priority of actually winning and being safe. So again, I like that element of risk. And same thing with the whole risk your vote, protect your vote thing that we saw in the middle of the episode. Very much a theme here. Like, if this was not Survivor 41, it would be subtitled like risk versus reward or something like that, because that really seems to be the general theme we're going for this year.
So it'd be Survivor Danger Island.
Yes.
Danger. It's the most dangerous season yet.
It's a monster movie. Will the monster devour you, or you destroy the monster?
Yeah,
very lost.
Yeah, the man in
monster.
Black is there. The one thing I like, and I agree, we need to see how this shot in the dark plays out. But the thing I like about it is there's now an incentive to not have people know they're on the bottom or on the outs. Like, you don't want people to think they're in danger, so you'll sort of have to like, because if someone knows, everyone's just voting against me, or I'm on the bottom, we might as or even if there's like 3 people who like go, there's this group of 6 and they're like running the show and we're like the bottom 3, we might as well all just roll our dices tonight, guys, and like, you know, hopefully the person they vote for is the person that like is safe. Like,
so presumably 2 or 3 or 4 people could roll their dice and all get safety? Is that right?
I guess so.
There's
The
not like a
odds of
limit?
that. The odds of that would be phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
Like they'd all need to like it'd be like all three of us rolling a dice and all of us rolling the same number. But yeah.
I'm just picturing like people splitting the vote. Like, say there is that group of 6 and they want to take out 3, and then like there's some combination where they're like, okay, we're going to split the vote, and they put like 3 votes on one person, 3 votes on the other. Both of them lose their votes, but they get to be safe. And then like the one person gets to vote out the one person in the majority. Like there's a lot of different kinds of combinations we could have here that could be exciting.
You could also have 2 people, like if someone has a hidden immunity idol and they've got the numbers against them, you've even got a situation where you could roll, you could both agree like, hey, like, oh, you and me, Kevin, we're on the outs. How about we both roll our dice tonight? Let me know if your one turned up safe, and then I'll play the idol on me. But if my one comes up safe, I'll play the idol on you. Like, so there's going to be some interest. There could be, depending on who ends up with idols and things, some pretty interesting gameplay come from this shot in the dark. But or it'll be a big disaster. We'll find out.
So far after one episode, it's kind of a disaster, but it will get better.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Let's talk a bit about their each tribe, maybe, and go through the tribes and sort of how that all played out. And I guess our first, let's talk about the whole risk versus reward. The whole risk your vote versus protect your vote decision. We had Danny, JD, and Xander all go on a big hike up a hill. I think was it Xander almost collapsed on it, or was that JD? One of the guys collapsed on the walk, and then they all got to know each other. They all talked about how they like sports or something. Then they all got to a wheel, private. They all went off their own ways, found a wheel, and they had to choose to protect their vote or risk their vote. And if they all protected their vote, that's fine. Nothing changes. If they all risked their vote, then they all lost their vote that night they all lost their vote at the next tribal council. And if there was a mix, some protected, some risked, fine for protecting, don't lose anything. But the people who risk their vote get an extra vote they can use at any point in the game. What would you guys have done?
I'm smiling because it's so complicated. Like,
yeah,
I understand it now, but when they were reading it on the show, I was like, wait, I need to rewind this. What's going on? What would I have done? I'm on Survivor. I'm going to risk my vote. I'm not going to go there and play safe.
I pretty much agree. Yeah, I'm not going to play it safe. I mean, the worst that could happen is we all lose our vote, and that means the other people don't have an advantage over me. So that would work. Yeah.
Yeah. I think probably the smart thing is to risk your vote there. Now, like, I guess if I was feeling super confident with the relationships I'd formed, maybe I'd feel like, oh, it could be a real, or if I was in like an alliance where we like really needed that vote, maybe not, but I think you guys are right. I think that's the right move. And I think also, like, I really was impressed with Xander, how he came back and just like he risked his vote, and then he just was honest with the group, because you often see like people try to lie when they get back from these sorts of things, or you see people do the thing for the tribe. Oh, I took the food for the tribe, I did the good thing, and then everyone just thinks they're lying anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they get voted out. Like, so you might as well just do the sort of slightly selfish thing and just be honest about it, because then you don't get caught in a lie and people don't just assume you like you're hiding something. So I think that's probably like just the best thing to do.
I wonder if he's gonna tell the truth about getting the vote, because I'm sure they're gonna ask like, hey, did you get an extra vote? And I wonder if he'll just say, no, I guess everyone just. Well, no, because he can't say everyone risked it, because then he wouldn't have had a vote.
Oh yeah, because then I guess
he's
the
screwed.
The good thing for his tribe, it was a unanimous vote. So Jeff didn't read all the parchment. So there is a bit of a mystery as to how many votes are in there, because all he had to do was read like 4 votes for Abraham. So it could have meant that they don't actually know how many votes were in the urn.
That's a good point.
So he could lie, Marcus.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't seem like the kind of guy who will, though.
No, he doesn't.
And he really made it about like, this is for the whole tribe. This wasn't a selfish decision. We can use this in the future, which is the smart play.
That was very smart.
You contrast that with what JD did, and he's sort of like stumbling over the story and like not really getting to the point, and then ultimately lying, right? Didn't he say that he protected when he actually did risk it? So see how that plays out.
Ricard totally called him out in a confessional, like, this kid's lying. I don't trust him.
So this is in the is it Yassa tribe or Yassi tribe, or I'm still getting my head around the tribe names, where Xander and everyone was, and that was the first tribe that went to tribal council. They lost their immunity challenge. What do we think about that? It looked like Tiffany might have been in trouble there.
I liked Tiffany from what little we saw of everybody. I like Tiffany. She's probably in my top 5 just because of her backstory, where she was an alternate and she didn't even know she was going to Fiji until a couple days before. I love that narrative, and I'm rooting for her. She's also the one that made Fire. They showed a deleted scene on YouTube, and for her tribe, she and Xavier were working together all throughout the night and the next morning, and finally, because of those two, they got fired.
That's cool. That's
Did I say Xavier? I meant Xander. Sorry.
Xander. Yep. What did you think, Kevin?
I think it's interesting how this played out versus how the other tribe that all played out, which was much messier. But with Yassa, I guess that's how you say it. I think we're gonna see like Evie and Liana and Tiffany really sort of having a solid majority here, because Evie, I think, definitely emerged as one of the standouts for me in terms of someone who's really come here to play and is already making these bonds and is already being like, Tiffany, I want her in my back pocket. She seems like she can be loyal, even if she's not like as physically fit as the others, that I just want her here. And so she made that decision, and here we have like a unanimous decision, got everyone on board. So
one thing Evie said that I didn't like is somebody asked her, who do you think should go home? And Evie's like, I don't want to vote out anyone. And I'm like, no, this is Survivor. You need to have the opposite mindset. You need to vote out everyone and want to do it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you would have really then hated Brad from the Ewer tribe when he went to tribal. He's like, hey, Jeff, could we give our like pot in and not have to vote someone out tonight? We trade our pot for, that's probably the thing.
Of the friendship. I mean, become friends after the show. Like on the show, you need to be at each other's throats.
Yeah. That's very good. Did Abraham do anything particularly wrong? Like, did he or was he just got on the wrong side of the numbers?
Yeah, I don't think he really stood out for me. I think in the trailer for next week, it looks like Brad is running around looking for an idol. So maybe he feels like he's at the bottom. Yeah.
Now that was messy that you tribal council, as Kevin said. There were a whole lot of things getting thrown around. It ended up landing on Sarah. So all those whispers and things like that didn't end up changing the vote at the end of the day, because I think they probably went in planning on voting out Sarah. And it looked like it was going to shift to Brad, and then it didn't. That was nuts, that one. And I love that the tribal went live on us. Even though it ended in the same place, I think it did go live. People seem to be throwing out new names and trying to get stuff going. What do you think, Kevin, with how that all played out? What are your thoughts?
I just found it really funny that this is a tribe that was really stressing, like, oh, we're like totally namaste, kumbaya, just like we're so tight. And then it just descends into chaos very shortly after that. I don't think this is a tribe that's going to necessarily be the tightest. I mean, we go after this point and we have JD still in the tribe, Ricard probably still wanting to target him. So I'm a little worried about that tribe going forward. I might guess that they might go to a few more before the merge. But as far as targeting Sarah, I mean, it seemed like the only real reason was just the challenge and not really being able to build the puzzle together. Like, part of me wonders if there was something we didn't really see as far as her not fitting in as much with others, but yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Marcus?
Yeah, that was a really good tribal council. I always love when the whispering starts. I love when somebody runs from one side to the other and starts, talking to their buddies. What are we doing? What are we doing? There's a lot of fans online that hate the whispering and they hate the live tribals, and I've never understood that. Those are always my favorites because you really don't know what's going to happen, and maybe it didn't change this time, but other times it has. So I'm looking at the votes. I was confused last night.
Yeah.
You guys can explain this. Why did Jeannie? Okay, so Jeannie voted for Ricard, and Sarah voted for Brad. Okay, so why did Jeannie vote for Ricard?
I have no idea. That's
Yeah,
a really
that was not
good
explained.
question. That was so confusing. So I don't
mean,
know.
It seemed like she was a little out of the loop in general compared to everybody else. So I don't know.
Yeah, and like, did she go in wanting to vote for Ricard, or did the whispers sort of influence the way she landed? Did she get a bit confused with different names getting thrown around? Like, it's very hard to tell, but that is a Survivor mystery that hopefully we get clarity on at some point. Yeah, why Ricard? Like, he did sort of start the whispers. I don't know if that had an impact on it or not, but yeah. So that, yeah, I think I was pretty sad to see Sarah voted out. She seemed like a player that could have had some potential and could have been fun on the show. I really was frustrated with Brad. I would have really loved to see him voted out. To say in front of Sarah's face that she's on the chopping block should be the kind of mistake that costs you in the game of Survivor. And look, it might well catch up with him very soon, because I think it did put his name out there in that tribal. But yeah, I was not a big fan of Brad. I was hoping to see him go. Whereas I think Sarah would have been pretty interesting.
I don't think Brad is long for this game. I think he is a pre-merge vote out.
Yeah, I think that I would like that. I would really like that. JD also seemed like he was in a lot of trouble this episode. We were getting a lot of the like lemon music on JD, and like, he's very overconfident. He's overplaying his game. He's sort of telling this big story. We got sort of stuff happening, and no, he wasn't really even in danger by the time we got to tribal council.
Yeah, didn't even get a vote.
So. No, and didn't even get a whisper, it seemed like. People whispering in his ear, trying to get his dynamics. Yeah. So I loved in that tribe. Was it Chantel? Is she the pastor?
Yeah, Shan for short. Yes.
She seems great how she's building relationships. And my favorite moment of the night was when she hummed the music and that became the score for that scene. I thought that was cracker.
Genius.
Yes.
Yeah. I hope they keep playing that throughout the whole season. I want her to make it to the finale just so we can keep hearing that music.
Yeah, she's definitely my standout from the premiere episode. I thought she was really fun.
She's so ruthless because Sarah asked her at tribal council, do I need to play my dice? And Shan said, oh, no, you're good. And then they voted her out. My heart felt for Sarah in that moment.
And, you said earlier, Max, why didn't they should have just rolled their dice? I think it's partly like the reason Sarah didn't was because she trusted Chantel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully a sign of things to come for her.
Yeah.
I'm really excited. I just love from the beginning she describes herself as a mafia pastor. I'm just like, I'm already standing.
Yeah. I'm on board for for her shenanigans this season. The Luvu tribe, whenever you don't see a tribe go to tribal council, like, you don't get to see the dynamics play out as much. They're probably the tribe I've got the least read on, but were there any standouts for either of you in that tribe?
I have a standout in a negative way. Nasir.
That's great.
Nasir goes to talk to, I think it was Danny and Deshawn when they were doing the water mini challenge. and he couldn't find them. And so he ran back to camp and he's like, they're looking for idols. Let's vote them out. And it's like, he may have been a little too, quick on the button there. I think that's going to come back to haunt him. In fact, at Gold Derby, you can make your predictions for next week. And I think Nasir will be going home if his tribe loses.
I think it's a fair guess. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah. I think he's just very eager to be playing this game. I mean, he talked in the beginning about really he learned English from the show and, has been watching for so long, and he's just really excited to be out there and start, hit the ground running and, is being messy in the process. And you could see just from, I think it was Sydney who just went up to them right away and was just like, hey, Nasir was just totally like throwing you under the bus, by the way. And so I feel like they're all maybe going to consolidate around him being the common enemy, I would imagine.
Yeah, he really called his shot a bit when he sort of goes, guys, they're not even going to fill up the buckets. And then when they fill up the buckets, it sort of was like they were so relieved that those guys had filled up the buckets. Because I guess Nasir put that expectation that they were looking for an idol so much that they weren't going to fill them up. So then when they filled up the buckets, they thought, is Nasir really, were they really looking for an idol that much? It sort of undermined his argument when they were.
I wondered that too. How long were they actually looking? Was it just like a 5-minute break, or was it an hour? I wish we had more clarity on that.
Yeah. To be fair to Nasir, they were looking for an idol. He didn't make that up. They were looking for the idol. So yeah, there you go. Very good. So who do you just said Nasir next week. Is he who you're predicting to go next week on Gold Derby, Marcus?
Yeah, he's my pick. And then my pick to win, I think I'm going with the majority, which as of last week, it was Deshaun. People were picking him, but it looks like the odds have changed, and now Evie is at number 1.
Makes sense.
I'm going to stick with Deshaun for now.
Okay. Look, I'm going to go with for winners pick Chantel. I think the Mafia pasta. I don't know. I think it's a bit too early to know exactly who's winning it, but we saw plenty of her story, and I think she's connecting well with people out there, and so I think that could be. Who do you think will win, Kevin, for the first?
Yeah,
episode?
Well, I think for people who really follow the edit, people who are like, oh, who has the winner's edit, who won't make it, I think Shan is truly there's no better winner candidate with the amount of content that she received in this premiere alone. But Evie, I definitely think we're probably right on the money in terms of having a really, really strong chance, and seems like is someone who's going to wheel and deal through the season, and is probably going to be long term, I would imagine, kind of set up as a bit of a narrator. So yeah, one of those. But I could see Danny, Deshaun, it's still very early. So
it's still an open game. There's plenty of people that I think have a path to this currently.
What about Ricard? I think Ricard is really playing this game, and
I think he's overplaying this game already.
That's possible.
Personally,
it's possible he's overplaying. But I could see him making it pretty far.
Yeah. No, I think
Chantel, though, I need to put her higher up in my predictions.
Yeah. Who do you think could go next, Kevin?
Yeah, I mean, Nasir seems pretty likely in terms of Luvu, but still concerned for JD if Ricard has his say. And for Yasa, I don't really know, because again, that seems like a pretty solidified group at this point. Maybe someone like David Voce. Just because we saw him complaining about having to do the task, the water task. I wonder if that's something that he does often in terms of complaining around camp. So, could see that.
Yeah, I like it. Very good. Anything else we'd like to touch on? Any of the twists and things? Do we like that Jeff is gonna? Do we like that Jeff's pulling a bit of a Jim Halpert and looking at the camera more and giving us little insights into what he's up to?
I don't know if I liked that or not. Like, we also saw a lot of the production crew this episode, which they really do a good job of hiding it in past seasons. But, they showed it when Jeff was saluting them, coming back after COVID, and some of these people have worked on the show for 20 years. So I totally get why they showed them. But you're right, the talking to the camera, we haven't seen that in a few years, as opposed to the beginning. He always says, welcome to Survivor, 39 days. But, remember in season 1, every episode he would walk through the jungle and give us a little breakdown of what was going on. I felt season 1 vibes when he did that in the beginning of this season.
Yeah, that's sort of a nice callback. What do you think, Kevin?
Yeah. Well, that sort of tracks with what Jeff has been saying in the preseason about like this season sort of being like a reset in some ways. So that is a nice little callback.
Drop the 40, keep the 1.
Exactly. Yes. But I'm not real. I don't need him to keep breaking the fourth wall. Like, it's cute in this premiere. I don't really need for him to be given like the Jim Halpert, like, oh, can you believe that just happened sort of thing. So yeah, like I said, good for the premiere. And it's the sort of like, hey, we're acknowledging that the pandemic happened. We've been off the air for so long. I think this was a good, like, sort of summing that up. And then we can sort of proceed with the game after the premiere. Maybe, I would hope.
I have a question that I don't know if anyone knows the answer, but since it's 26 days instead of 39, I'm assuming we're going to go to tribal council every 2 days instead of every 3 days. Does that mean there won't be any more reward challenges? Does that mean, and also if starting in the premiere, one tribe won and 2 tribes went to tribal, is that going to continue? Are we going to lose 2 people every episode? I don't know how this is going to go.
I feel like it's going to be like, I haven't checked what if this is a shorter season in terms of episodes. I'm assuming not, though, which means they'd have to go back to just one person going a week. Right. If they wanted to do still the 14 episode season. So yeah, but I guess we'll find out. Maybe there'll be a few more double eliminations, like with stuff like Redemption Island or with Edge of Extinction and stuff too. It means they've been having to like have more people in the final. Maybe they're able to do a few. Yeah, but I think they'll need to be most episodes just one person go home. Otherwise, it's going to be a super short season.
Yeah, I hope they don't lose episodes by doing this.
Yeah, so I don't think and you'd think they're spending all this money to produce the season. They still need a certain number of episodes to have ads to sell for and things like that. So yeah, I think it's I don't know. I think we talked a bit about the come on in guys sort of stuff, and like I put aside whatever you think about that term. Like, I did think it was interesting how he sort of asked the cast what they thought about it, and like just took on what they said, gave them a bit of ownership. And I just think the nightmare scenario for Jeff would be every challenge someone rocks up with a critique for him of something he could change. Like, oh, Jeff, just by the way you say this, could we maybe change that, like, and do this? And like, on every episode he's going to have to go, oh yeah, fair enough, guys, we're losing it, we're changing it, we're doing this.
A lot of people are kind of blaming Ricard for this, but if you listen to what Jeff said, Jeff's like, I agree with you. I've been wanting to change this for a while, and I'm glad that this is the last time I've ever said that. So I think Ricard is kind of getting the brunt of negativity online, but it was really Jeff's decision to not say that anymore.
And it was also Jeff's decision to give them like the decision on that too. Like, it's a bit unfair for Jeff to go, hey guys, what do you think? Someone's honest about that. And then it's sort of, I'd hope that like the reason Jeff asked the cast that was, and I think it was to give them a bit of ownership and not just dictate how that season and how like his things play, and actually listen to the people playing, whether it's an inclusive term or not, rather than, hey, I'll get like someone like Ricard to make this decision for me so we can throw them under the bus and they get all the blame for the like decision. Yeah. So, and I don't think that's what Jeff was doing. So I think
it's something that they were thinking about to begin with, Jeff and the producers and whoever, and they just sort of wanted a confirmation to have a discussion about it. But I really do sort of think they should have just made the change and not really even talk about it too much other than maybe in the press and just have it be that. I don't, again, it sort of seems a little bit performative in sort of the action, like really acknowledging it in that way, but we'll see.
If you're watching this and you're outraged, tweet Jeff. He can take it. Okay.
But he's not going to read.
He's not going to read it. He gave you his Twitter handle. Take it up with Jeff. He's
Scream
the
into the void
producer. He made the decision. Don't take it out on poor Ricard. He's just honest about how he felt about it. Like, it's up to Jeff ultimately. He can handle your tweets or not read them. Write a letter into CBS. Do it like, take it out on the network. Take it out on Jeff. They can handle it. Guys, Survivor's back. It's back, baby. That's great.
Can't believe it.
Yeah. Any last thoughts?
I like this cast. I'm excited to see what's next.
Awesome. Marcus, you've been sort of running the prediction center for Survivor. Like, tell it at goldderby.com. You can go on, make your weekly predictions. Marcus, do you want to just tell us how that works, or like anything of note from that?
Yes. We've been doing this for years now. You can predict who's going to win, who's going to be voted out, who will win the reward, who will win the immunity. And we've added a new question this year. Will anybody play their shot in the dark? So if you think someone may play it, vote yes. If you don't think so, vote no.
But there's a risk. There's a risk with that. You could be right, but you also could be wrong. Exactly. It comes at a cost.
And you could also predict things like Dancing with the Stars and The Masked Singer and the Oscars and the Grammys and all of that. Goldderby.com.
That's fantastic. And I met Adam, who won Millennials versus Gen X once. And when I told him I was for Gold Derby, he was like, your prediction center, the one place that thought I was going to win. He said that was the thing. That. And on the flip side of the coin, Marcus, we met Mike White, a player from Survivor David vs. Goliath. And he was fuming that the prediction center had no one winning an immunity challenge at higher odds than him winning an immunity challenge.
Yeah, he was not happy.
No, he said screw Gold Derby. So there you go. The contestants get invested in the prediction center at Gold Derby too sometimes.
Yes, and I loved going with you to the Survivor finale. That was so fun. And I'm wondering, will we ever have another live Survivor finale with COVID? I think they announced the winner on the island this season, so I don't know if they're going to do it this year.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, probably. I think after this year, maybe they will, unless I don't know if they did 2 seasons back to back quickly or not. I'm not. So maybe not that season, but maybe in a year's, maybe after that cycle.
Maybe they did 41 and 42 in like April, May, June, but hopefully things will get back to normal next year.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're going to talk about this every week, aren't we, guys?
Yeah.
I think so.
Oh, looking forward to it. Okay. Thanks for watching.